A lot of our students and audience today here are from West Bengal, and I'm sure they are very familiar with you.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I do not want to waste time talking more. Anand, please introduce our guest and move on with the session.
Yeah, we can start formally. You can just give. Good evening, all. This is the 10th edition of Let's Talk Films, and this has been a very good journey. We have been traveling along with personalities from film, theater, and different aspects of film. We have had editors, directors, actors, and today on the 10th episode, we have Daminee Basu. She is the most recognizable, one of the most recognizable faces of Bangla in theater and film. So welcome Daminee to the Let's Talk series, Let's Talk film series. Kalyani, Dr. Kalyani, you can give a formal introduction before we get into the conversation. Kalyani?
Thank you so much, Anand.
Yeah, we have had a lot of amazing, inspiring speakers, and this is the 10th special edition of this Let's Talk Films, and this is the most so looked forward to session as well. Why we want to interact with people, personalities from, I'll mute everyone. Why we want to listen to experts and personalities from the media industry is because of our interest in not only media culture and film, but also in everyday culture. It's part of our lives. And we have a very academic as well as a very aesthetic interest in your work. So it is in this context that we have all joined here. We are mostly students and teachers of English literature, but I'm sure there are people from other sectors also here with us. It's a very mixed group. We look forward to a very interactive session with you, ma'am. And everybody, please join in and please, let us hear your voices also. It is not just a one-way conversation here. It must be a polyphony of voices that we hear here. So please feel free to, share with us your thoughts. So thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Kalyani. Once again, welcome Daminee to the show. For the students, let me introduce Daminee Benny Basu. She has a rich theater tradition of more than 35 years, I think. She has worked with leading filmmakers, theater directors, and she's also an accredited actor coach. So we'll talk about in detail about each of these aspects. But then, as Daminee, I would like to tell you that most of, as Dr. Kalyani said, most of our participants are students of English literature. Then we have students from other faculties also. Your academic training is in philosophy and cultural anthropology. And ever since I have known you, like you have been a student. You have always been a student. So how did you happen to find the actor in you?
Oh, well, I'm still a student, to clarify that. And so it's not 35 years anymore. I'm running 38 now, 38 years. And that can explain a lot. So I really did not have to struggle a lot to find the actor in me. It was almost like a hand-me-down from my parents. So my parents are very renowned theater personalities. They identify as theater workers. So they work for theater. So I was literally, there's no metaphor in this. I was literally raised on stage. So, well, that's the most precise way of putting it. Honestly speaking, I have never known any other way to be. That has been like home to me, growing up on stage, facing an audience, training for entertainment, training, and to just be in a body and present myself before audience. That is what I have trained for all my life. So I did not have to struggle much. So it has not been an ontological quest that way, honestly speaking.
Okay. Wow, 38 years in theater, like that's
Yeah,
so
so I literally learned to walk on stage, and I've been given a part from the time when I was about 2.5, 3 years old when I started walking. So they just wanted to keep me on stage so that I don't loiter around, and because they caught me once fooling around the catwalk backstage. So that was the time they thought that no more backstage. She has to be on stage in front of hundreds of people so that we know where she is. That's that.
okay. And since then, you have been closely associated with the Bangla theatre, and you have worked with people like Soumitra Chattopadhyay, Asid Basu, Usha Ganguly, Vivas Chakrabarti, Devesh Chattopadhyay, like almost every big name in theatre. You have worked with them. Arjun Datta, definitely. But when we speak about theatre in Malayalam, uh, like I cannot fully confidently say that we have a vibrant theatre environment here uh, right now. So, what is the situation in Bangla theatre right now? Are new experiments happening, new ideas being discussed or worked out or practiced? What is the situation there?
It is a difficult question to be answered so precisely. It's a complex situation, and which is being made more complicated post-COVID. And I think the newer generation now is struggling with theater, and a good parallel to draw at the cost of sounding really cocky would be it's almost similar as finding a foothold with the Communist Party. I mean, the new generation is struggling really hard to find a foothold, but what they have trained in is a very old format of theater, Bangla theater. But what it needs to upgrade itself, because it's not like an ecological project that needs to be saved, and there's this conversations about saving the culture. I mean, culture itself was never like a homogeneous, monolithic thing that needed preservation. It's not an ecological project. But conversations, discussions, practices around forming new language. And by saying language, I don't mean vernacular. I mean the language of the medium needs to change, needs to upgrade, needs to include a lot more. And the world has seen COVID, and the world has seen how everybody has struggled, like live performances have struggled and tried to find a foothold in the midways of online and live performance. So yeah, the struggle is for real. I mean, in between politics and changing weather and changing climates in politics, it's suffered in terms of being extremely polarized. But yeah, I like any other art form, it's not dead. It will not die. People will keep, people will want to express themselves. And well, now is I would look at it as a very liminal phase. Um, that's how it feels. It's in that kind of penumbral phase where people are trying to almost figure out what works, what doesn't. So everybody's experimenting, but well, you can always say that it will always be a journey, but I don't see a format. I don't see something that I can address right now, and it's not going to be a very black or white conversation about it.
Yeah,
Am I making sense?
yeah, it's a very complicated since I can understand it because theatre as a whole across India is going through a crisis period. As we have rightly contextualized it in the post-COVID situation, the COVID was a blow, such a big blow to the theatre actors because uh, how can a theatre happen without being in direct contact with the audience? So COVID
Yeah,
took that away.
yeah, and to be precise, if you take cues from what's happening around the world right now, look at Broadway or the National Theatre, how they are trying to contextualize. I mean, that's one of the biggest things, that we are struggling to contextualize everything because people are so averse to bring things back to context because we are so secluded and separate right now. So they are trying to contextualize and put everything back in context by introducing their shows online. So everybody is looking for something, looking for a raft right now. Currents are deep. Well, let's see where we go.
Yeah, let's see. That brings us back to the your career in film. There again, you have made a mark as an actor, which is why we titled our show to the conversation that we are having today as body as language. And you started using the body, evolving that language right from the age of 2 when you started walking, as you have just now said. Uh, Before we get into the details of your career as an actor in films, I would really like to talk about your association with the maestro Ridhuvarna Ghosh. You were more into associating with her in filmmaking rather than acting in the initial days. That's what I remember. So, what was your experience with Ridhuvarna?
Um, well, looks like you have queued up all the difficult questions. I don't know how to answer all these. Well, it'll be unfair to only look at our relationship under a very professional light, which it was not. Um, it was an astoundingly beautiful and personal space. And he literally saw me grow up on stage. So he, yeah, I mean, I still struggle to kind of talk around this topic. Yeah, I'd like to believe that I was research assistant, but it was way more than that. It's been my friend, philosopher, guide, and gossip partner, and my chief motivator. And the one who actually taught me the importance of waking up early in the morning, very early in the morning. So it's I don't think I'm doing a good job at making it a precise
Yeah, just
topic.
like, can we take like what was the uh, films that you associated with or you worked together, the ideas that you worked around?
Yeah, so the way he would develop an idea and get to the root of it was very interesting. Like how he would say whether he was looking at a classic and the non-canonical take that he would have for any literature, for any classic or anything that he was dealing with at hand, or something very mundane, um, almost on the level of a drawing room drama. But he had an astounding way to cut through everything and just look at the seed of the problem. Like the conflict was so clear to him from the very outset is something that I've learned from him, and it's something which has kept showing up in the way that I have approached my work while teaching, showing up as a facilitator, or when I'm approaching a character. So yeah, that training has been amazing.
Okay, so the those lessons that you gathered or picked up from the sets of Ridhuvarna that helped a lot in your career. Like you went on to become not just an actor, but you became an actor coach because
Yeah,
your
yeah,
recent entry to Vishal Bharadwaj production, Charlie Chopra. Those who
yeah.
have seen Charlie Chopra series in on TV might have spotted Daminee as an actor, but she actually reached the sets of Charlie Chopra as an actor coach and ended up being playing a big important part in that series. So how did that happen? So what was the experience of Charlie Chopra?
Well, I can't address this question without actually taking it back to Richuda again. So it was 2013 when I lost him. And for the first time on his set, it was his idea. He was we were sitting together one evening and working on the scripts of Bomkesh, Shobtan Nishi. And in the middle of conversation, he all of a sudden said that, why don't you coach the actors? Some of them. And I was so young, so naive, and so not serious about anything other than acting. I was like, why would people want to train with me? he said, I think you got what it takes to be a teacher. And I think he's the first person who saw that in me. I mean, Rituda was the first person who saw that in me. And before I knew that can be an option for me. So that was 2013, and Vishal Bharadwaj happened in 2023, like technically on the floor. So we have known each other from 2019. So on and off, we had plans to work on different projects that happened, did not happen, was a conversation. So finally, when things happened, things rounded up, and I was supposed to train the actors for Charlie Chopra, and I was already in Bombay training actors in my workshop. So he said, don't get your return ticket, stay back. And so he would come to my workshop often, and he got, it was such a fun experience for him. So he thought it's going to be amazing if I'm there present on the floor with the actors. So that's going to be an added brownie to them. So yeah, that's that's how it happened. So it sometimes when I look back, in retrospect, it looks like it's a 10-year circle, started from somewhere. It's still not over. It's just the beginning. That's how I would want to look at it. It's just I'm just about warming up, but yeah, it's kind of fun. And sometimes I would like to believe that maybe he's just around. He's doing all of this. Who knows?
So you can still feel that presence over there, that motivation.
I that's I mean, Rituda has had such an immense. Why am I still talking in past tense? But he still has such a huge presence, existing presence in the way I look at things, approach things, talk about things, formulate ideas. He's always there, and I can feel that. It's almost like a lived experience.
So that brings us to the key concept of using body as a language on theater and on screen. So how can an actor use his or her body as a language or as a medium? Because I'm asking this question because unlike in theater, in films, the art is totally under the control of director. Your experience with Rududa might have introduced to that, give you an idea that. So this happened before you got acquainted with the Eric Morris system of beyond method acting. We'll talk in detail about Eric Morris's system, but my question is like, how can an actor engage him or herself as a using the body in a film, unlike in theater?
Yeah, I think I'll be more comfortable to use the word instrument instead of body. Because see, a writer will have a pen, paper, an editor will have a whole setup, a DOP will have a camera, but an actor only has himself, like the entire, not only the body, but the body and the mind and everything. That's the instrument. Now, at the very outset, it has to be very clear that the body will not show up in the same way, because you'll have to look back at history. One comes from a demonstrative acting history, and the other we are referring to from an experiential history of performance. So that is a major distinction. So when things become demonstrative, again, if you're looking at the Indian school of performances of not only theater, but any folk form, dance form, you'll see the demonstration becomes that of demonstrating the emotion of how it shows up. So when you're catering to a big audience of say 500 people or 1000 people, you have to train yourself to show up and be present on stage and work on the volume of your presence. Because you are not only playing it out for the first 3 rows, but maybe the 35th row at the back. So that is one school of demonstrative acting. So that is one body, and the other body, like I'm going back to your terminology. When the instrument shows up right before, like when the instrument is something that we are using for the camera, the lens is the master here. The lens is telling you the story. And there, unless it is specially stylized, it has a special narrative, it has a particular style that has been determined by the director, it is essentially experiential. Because the history of progress or change or realism in acting goes hand in hand with the upgrading of the lenses post World War. So look at the lenses right now. They can see the quiver in your nerves as well. So there's nowhere that you can demonstrate and get away. There's no way that you can just deal with things on a surface level, because then it will be identified as great acting. I mean, there are great many actors out there, but there's an acute paucity of versatile actors. By saying that, I mean that you'll acute paucity of actors who would actually make you question your human experience, and that can only come from the background of experiential acting. So yeah. So for that, you train your body or your instrument not only from a surface level, but to surface level of working with the volume, working with what you see, but what's underneath all of that. So the body and the mind. So it becomes a training of that.
So can you explain the Eric Norris system of beyond method acting for our participants? What is it based? What is the basic philosophy of Eric Norris system?
I've never tried to actually say it so precisely. So let me try. I'll do my best. So if you can I ask you another question? So will you be able to tell me what's your understanding of the method acting is? You don't have to be right or wrong. Just a very rough idea of what the method acting is.
So do you have any of the participants ready to answer this?
Just the popular notion. Just the popular notion. You don't have to be right or wrong. I'm not going to judge you on that.
I'm just opening the floor to anyone who can answer this, respond to this. What is method acting? What is our idea of method acting? Because my method of method acting is expressing feelings or using the instrument, as you say, body as an instrument in a particular way, which is realistic, which is according to a pattern. So that is my understanding of the way I can explain method acting. Is there anyone else who want to join this conversation? Please feel free.
Pop conversation, popular idea. You don't have to be.
Yeah, please. Who is this?
Yeah. Sir, I'm Santosh Madpati, sir.
Yeah, Santosh.
I'm a student at the Vallath.
Yeah, please.
Hi, Santosh.
Go ahead.
Sir, hi, ma'am. Hi, ma'am. It's been a pleasure to listen to you.
Thank you.
Email also wants to join.
Yeah, email also.
Yeah.
So Santosh, can you explain what is your idea of method acting?
Ma'am, I think method acting is where you go deep into the emotions and you try to show it in a subtle way, not over exaggerating the things like in theater or in movies, in commercial films. They try to do. Like Al Pacino is one example of, we can say, I can think of when it comes to method acting. And I am from Kannada background, so we have actors like Anant Nag.
Right.
Anant Nag,
Powerful actor,
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
So that is my understanding. Thank you, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Santosh. Himal Pandey. Himal also has raised.
Yes, namaste sir, namaste ma'am. According to my understanding, I believe that it's going into the zone, like triggering one's emotion, like maybe remembering something from past, which is similar to the character situation, and then reacting to it. That's what I understand.
Right. All of you are correct. Anand, Santosh, Himal, all of you are correct. Now, if you would understand, it's a very technical thing. Like somebody wrote something about triggering the emotion or to.
I said that. There is one comment in the box saying that you tap into the mind of the character you want to portray.
Right.
Come as close as possible.
Absolutely. So you'll have to understand that it's a methodology, right? It's a technique. Technique where the actor is, so what is this technique about? Again, coming back to, it's all about deliverables. It's work. It's an actor's work. So what is the work that you, as an actor, you have to deliver a character with believability. That's method, simply put, right? So now you will see so many times an actor is ready to play. I'm taking a popular example. Say, an actor is, say, a girl, a young girl. Now she has cracked the audition and she is to play Chameli. If you would remember the popular film where Kareena Kapoor played Chameli. Now she plays a part of the prostitute. Now she might have done a wonderful job. She might have auditioned a great scene at the comfort of her home. Now when she actually has to take herself to the floor, so many times you'll find, even yourself, consider yourself, I'm speaking to each one of you. Maybe you're giving a presentation. Now forget Chameli. Now forget any character that you're playing. So think of even a presentation that you have to present in front of the class before your professor. You have everything ready. Now think that you're playing the character of the one who's presenting it. You have everything ready. You know your lines, you know your presentation, you know what you're going to show. But then why do you find your throat drying? You find yourself to be a cotton mouth and your knees shaking. You feel like your thighs are turning into jelly. Is it a craftual problem? It is not a craftual problem. The actor trying to become the character is been the history of what all the acting coaches and teachers in the world train you about, how the actor becomes this particular character. So that is all about craft. Now, there we do not have a problem. Now, the actor doesn't have a problem with the characterization. That is a different training. That is a different craft. Now, sometimes what happens, now this actor, before identifying as an actor, is a person who grows up in certain situations, who's conditioned socially, philosophically, ideologically, politically. You can think of the boxes yourself. Now, this person behind the actor gets in the way of the characterization, because it is your personal belief system that starts nosing in and creates disturbances for the character. So there is no problem between the actor and characterization. So there's no problem between the actor and the characterization relationship. But the person sometimes starts barging in, and the person's belief system, the person's background. So that creates an obstacle. So these inhibitions. So what Eric has done is taken the method on its head, and he started introducing certain exercises which would address these inhibitions. So it becomes not only like a race, but it has taken the race and started addressing all these obstacles. So it's become a hurdle race. So if I can put it very simply, it's a hurdle race. So the hurdles and the obstacles are a part of the race. So how you can use all your personal experiences and address them, not only from a surface level of the body, like we would say, but get way beyond that and make it a part of the entire experience. So it's very holistic, that if that makes sense. It's difficult, it's slightly heady, but I hope that kind of explains. I know I'm not doing probably a good job, but I hope that kind of explains.
Yeah, so you mean to say that you go beyond the physical experience and then go deeper into the psyche or the personality of the actor and work on that?
Yes. So now you'll see that everything for an actor, for any person for that matter, I mean, performance is a big umbrella term. So everything will show up, one, on a cognitive level of thinking, understanding, and the next is on the somatic level, on the body level. So we can't exclude one from the other, because somatically you might, from externally, you might prepare yourself for a particular kind of character, you might work on the speech, but these are all add-ons. So what you said, get into the psyche of the character, that is also considered a part of the character itself. But what about you, the person who's the actor? Say, I grew up in a certain family where acting wasn't even a choice for me, right? So that is a different question. Now, a particular person grows up, does not matter how the person identifies. You can include the parents, family, the society, the school, religion, politics, nation, continent, everything. So everything you can consider, you can look at everything as one box. A box within a box, within a box, within a box, within a box. Now, all these things start making you someone in the world. Whereas the demand of acting is that you present yourself as a no one. So, because you will have to become an anyone at the demand of a director, with a demand of a character, the demand of a particular script. But if you're already stubborn about being a someone with all these identities will start barging in to the way of becoming that character with conviction. So we begin there. So it works on a cognitive level and as well as a somatic level.
There is a social matrix in which the actor, you have rightly pointed out the obstacles that an actor might face while transforming him or her into a character. So that the main one would be the social matrix from where this person has come forward. And this will definitely have an impact on the artistic expression made by that actor using the body. So how do we break those stigma, be it the social stigma, belief, or the social conditioning, and translate the vision of a writer and a director, because that is something presented outside the system for an actor. So, can this be done through training?
This can most definitely be done through training, and that has been the contribution of Eric Morris' system, going back to the same example that I started with. Like this girl who is 19 years old and who's cracked the role of Chameli, now goes to the floor and is hesitant all of a sudden before the camera, not because she's forgetting her lines, not because she is uncomfortable with the co-actor or with the director, but she starts thinking, what will my mom think? What will my parents think? What will my neighbor think? I'm 19 years old. I went to a convent school. I'm convent educated. My parents are so conventional. What will I tell my mom? I got away saying that it was my dance recital. That was okay. So what do you do then? That is what I'm saying. So it is not a problem that the actor has with the character. It is the person before the actor. It is the person and the upbringing and the stigma and the identity and the, like, all these boxes, which has made this 19-year-old girl already a somebody. Whereas the requirement, the training requirement for an actor is to be in practice, is to be in a constant training. It may sound very philosophical. No wonder so many actors in the world become philosophers so early on in life. It's a very philosophical practice as well. So it is very trainable. Of course, there are step-by-step approaches to it. But the point is to stay as a no one. As Bruce Lee would say, be water, my friend. The training essentially of an actor is to be like an amoeba, shapeless, colorless, formless. Because the more you get into the trap of these small boxes of identity, the more it gets in the way of your characterization. So that is what takes it beyond the method, not only the craft, but it starts addressing everything from an instrumental level. Now think of someone who decides to become an actor at the age of 50. I have so many people who come to my class, like senior citizens included. Oh, we don't even have to go that far. Think of Boman Irani, who wanted to change course, and he became an actor much later in life, in his 50s. So think of someone like that. So then it not only is about craftual training, then it also becomes a training in how to break away from these inhibitions, obstacles, stigmas that you have built, that you have taken time to build for so many years. Because it will never be a problem between the actor and the characterization. That would hardly take a few months training, like the technicalities of it. But what really creates the problem is that small little snake in that apple. And that goes, and that is way beyond your method or a craftual question. Yeah, if you understand.
Okay, yeah. So Akash Sinha has a question here. Akash, are you online?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that, when you said that, we have to erase our experiences that we have had to play the character. So I just wanted to ask that
No, not erase, include.
Okay.
Include the experience without the shame of it, without the judgment of it, to make it a part of, yes, not erase at all. You embrace it. That's what that is where the strife begins. That is where the conflict begins. The 19-year-old fictional girl, the hypothetical situation that we were talking about, it is not because she wanted to erase her past.
Right.
But because she was in conflict with who she is and who she identifies as.
Right.
As a person, as a child of these parents, as a parent of this kind of status, from this kind of family, from this kind of district, from this religion. And there are so many more that you can keep adding, and just question yourself. Like, you will have so many subparts to yourself. So most of the time, Eric, my teacher, he says something amazing. He says that your acting problems are not your acting problems. These are your life problems, which get magnified under the spotlight on stage or in front of the camera. Not erase at all, but to embrace it, and how you do it with dignity.
Right.
That's the training. Yeah. I'm sorry if I cut you short. Please continue with your question.
No, this is, I think I got it wrong. So now that you have corrected
me. Thank you. Oh, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Akash. Daminee, like you have always said that actors are not born, even though you walked into the stage as actor when you started walking, right from the age of 2.5, like you are there, doing your act. But then you believe, your philosophy is that actors are not born, they are trained, they are bred, they are created through training.
Absolutely.
So how do you prepare as an actor? When does your journey start in approaching the character? Does it start when the writer or the director gives you a narration, or how do you start the journey?
It's a mixed journey of conscious and unconscious levels. My teacher Susanna said something very beautiful, that you are always under the umbrella of a scene work. So if you expand on that moment of scene work, it becomes a script, it becomes a story. I think it starts from the moment that somebody narrates to you. It has its own way of finding its foothold somewhere down your subconscious, and starts doing the work. And the school that I belong, I belong to the method school, beyond method school, but it comes from the Lee Strasberg side. And there's a very famous quote that you can keep trying, you can keep prepping, but all of this is going to be a rehearsal from a very conscious state. But what happens at that point between you and the camera? Whether you are nobody's nothing. That point is all about surrender, and you can never be consciously prepared for it. It will only come from a very deep place of unconscious. You just have to be ready. So all of this preparation is just like sending a conduit down to your unconscious, and you're sending a signal that I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready, because you will never be able to replicate that moment that you have been rehearsing, prepping from a place of conscious state. If you, I am deeply questioning my ability to communicate today. I've been struggling with words.
No, it's a
Pretty
spiritual
foggy, but I
experience.
hope I hope I'm
spiritual-
making sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
I am hope.
And then I'll take my question to another level. Like when you are visualizing a character within yourself, when you are responding to the narration, you might create an impression about the character. For example, because we at the beginning of our conversation, Shruti Mandal mentioned about Jeshtaputra. The character in Jeshtaputra, your character in Jeshtaputra, I am putting it in comparison vis-a-vis the character in Chotolo.
Right.
The body language, the gait, the way the character responds, the character in
Right.
Jeshtaputra and the police officer in Chotolo,
Right.
they are ages apart.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I remember the way that police officer walks in Chotolo. There's a sluggishness in that. There is a way that character that entire her gait defines the character. Her aggression is so inherent. The police officer, the power, the way she exercises her power is different. Whereas in
Right.
Jeshtaputra, that character is very subtly integrated into the environment. So my question is like, when a narration is given to you, when a character is explained to you, does such subtle details come into your mind?
No, that's a step-by-step thing. I did not understand your question. It's a way more technical thing. So number one, the most important thing is always going to be the thematic obligation. See, I'm talking very in craft term right now. So obligation, by obligation, I mean like in terms of deliverables. So you can't ever escape the thematic obligation. So the thematic obligation for Jeshtaputra is the eldest son. So you can't escape that big picture. It will always be about the eldest son and how you relate to it. Your in relationality, your relation to the character. And then there will be subtextual obligations. Subtextual in the sense where you don't exactly have a direct kind of brief about what this character is about, but you can pick up from the hints of how other characters are around this character, are speaking about this character in absentia of this character. So these are things that you will pick up. And of course, after that, if you have how do I say this with political correctness? If you have a visionary for a director, if you are lucky, then you'll have a great brief. If not, then again, just like how you pick up subparts of the character from these subtextual contexts. And if you don't have a brief, if you have a brief, then great. You'll know what the physicality of the character is emotionally. If it's an emotional character, if the character is intelligent, intellectual. So yeah, did I say physically? Yeah, physically, emotionally, intellectually. So that's one thing that you do on a somatic level, and how you are adding to the volume, or how you see it, or what your research is like. And then, of course, if you put it in perspective of history, if it is a historical context, then what kind of what generation, what time are you looking at, or the place, situation, time of the day, time of the year, the weather, that adds to something. So there are different ways that we approach this. So it's a very technical thing, step by step. But yes, there's the method to the madness. It's not random.
So then, as a national artist, like there is for every artist, especially for an actor, there's a natural tendency to get into a comfort zone. Like it's always a journey to reach to that comfort zone and be there. And your training program, the Class Act,
Yeah.
is designed in such a way that you break precisely that comfort feeling of comfort zone. And then you just now said you have people coming to you, very senior people coming to you.
Yeah.
So obviously we can guess the level of comfort zones that they are already in. And your Class Act training does you break that cocoon or the comfort zone and bring another person out of it. So how have been people responding to this system? Your attempt to break that comfort zone.
Yeah, it's been a long and winding road. Initially, it was met with a lot of resistance because people think that they are ready to get out of their comfort zones, but that's on a very intellectual level. And you know that once you start once you start intellectualizing instead of dropping in your body and addressing the deepest fears and obstacles, what that makes. So you make a stereotype out of yourself even before the world stereotypes you. So that has been that. So there are exercises which has been designed by Eric Morris himself, where it is directed at the person behind the actor. It starts there. So it's beyond the roots as well. It's not even the roots. It's beyond the roots. It is like prepping the soil. If the soil is correct, so you're prepping the soil. But yeah, it is not always being like a bed of roses. Initially, right now, people know my body of work. They know I am stubborn beyond F's imagination, but I've been at it. I've been relentless. I've not given up even at the face of adversity and criticism. But it has not been so easy. I mean, for the last few years, yeah, I've been put through all kinds of tests because initially everything went against me. I am in my 30s. I was in my 30s. That went against me. My age went against me. The color of my skin, had I been well, I can say this now. I have nothing to lose. Had I been a gory, people would have been listening to me better. I was in my 30s. I am brown. I'm a woman. I am a single mother. It breaks my heart to bring out all of this, but you know what I'm saying? Everything went against me. So it would be a struggle for me to actually have men walk through classes. It would only be girls training, women training, like 12 girls, one boy, 16 girls, 2 men. The very idea of training from a woman who's younger than me, who's not white, who is not even an NRI, who's Indian, it is difficult. It is difficult to surrender for men. So I mean, and you know how patriarchy works. It doesn't only work through the machinery of men. A major part and contributor to the machinery is women. And the things, the mythical stories and the legends that I've heard about myself, about the things that happened in the class, happened in the commune, made me no less legend than Osho. But yeah, I maybe one day I'll write about all these gossips. But it has not been easy. It has not been easy. You are doing something that is unheard of. I mean, Eric went through the same. He works in one of the poshest places in the entire world. He works in Hollywood, like proper Hollywood Boulevard. He's faced through so much of what he was doing in early to mid 70s to late 70s. His work faced so much criticism. Still, it was accepted and used and talked about. by everyone in the industry, from everyone, literally. So yeah, who am I? I went through it probably 100 times. It's not been easy. It's not been easy because people
So,
think that they'll do it, but essentially, in the initial stages, they would come and in a program of 8 days and 14 days, for the first few days, they would just waste their time taking my test. आपको कितना पता है ये तो देख लूं. So yeah, now I don't have to do that. It's not been easy.
so the class act commune is basically based on the rigmarole system.
Eric Morris system and more. It's essentially Eric Morris system is see, with the growing industry and with the OTT platforms, everybody wants to train in realism now. But no, I was raised by parents in theater, and I've trained with some of the most amazing people in the world. Michele Bottini in Commedia dell'arte, and I've done Brechtian theater. I've done agitational propagandist theater. I was trained by my mom in musical theater, and then I trained with Anna Helena McLean in the Grotowskian way. So I have experience and I have done demonstrative theater like no one's business. And it's a huge span. I mean,
38 years.
if I'm 38 years in that. I've been actively in theater till say 2017. So I have covered it all.
So how did your journey with the rigmarole start? How did you come into contact with the rigmarole?
Well, that's another story in itself. So this was around 2012 when so much was happening in my personal life. And I was feeling like I've hit a block, like I've hit a wall somewhere, and I wanted to get past all of it. And I was like, I'm tired of playing the role that I'm playing in my life. I need more, but I did not know what, because I'm working with the best of the best in the industry, and everybody knows me. So what after this? What do I do? Where do I take myself? So I started reading up, and I was trying to figure out what's happening in the contemporary context of acting, what people are doing in Hollywood, so everybody, what are the techniques? Because everybody talks about method acting, but what happened after method acting? So I started reading so much, and almost in every other book I read, written by coaches or actors, some way or the other, they would bring up the name of Eric Morris. So then I started doing my own research and gathered a little bit of information and courage. And then I wrote to him. Then I read all his books. You know how I am. I would do a lot of research before I would speak to someone. So I wrote to him. I read all his books. I tried and applying a few of his techniques, which was okay, not the best. Just the kind that you can manage to only by reading. So I tried to apply, and then I was courageous enough to record a few clips and send it to him via email, but I couldn't hit the send button. I slept on it for quite a few nights, and then ultimately my fear was, what if they judge me? What if they are going to laugh at me? I was like, they don't even know me. How does it matter? Let me just send it. And very next day, this was around 2012, I opened my phone and I saw an email from the Eric Morris acting studio. I opened the email, and there was only one thing that I saw, and I was so scared, like something happened inside. I can't exactly put a name to it. I think I experienced, in the polyvagal terminology, a freeze moment. I just shut down. I just saw at the bottom of the email, it was written, sent from Eric's iPhone. And I just shut it down and just never looked back at it. So that was the beginning of our history. Yes, 2012. And then I kept on writing to him, and eventually I went and started training with him. I put everything at stake. I loaned all my gold. I was like, I'll put everything at stake. I have nothing to lose. And I had Janis Joplin to inspire me. Freedom just another word for nothing left to lose. Well, technically, I had nothing to lose then. So it was a big blow in terms of my personal life, financially, professionally, I had hit rock bottom, and it's like if rock bottom is the lowest, I can't go lower than this. So yeah, I can only look up. So I put everything on stake and I went to him. I started training, and then I would keep going back every year, every year, every year, every year. And yeah, that's how it went.
That's a very amazing journey that you have with Eric.
Oh, yeah. It's been around the world, literally 180 degrees around the world.
Okay. Now, Suvasri has a very interesting question, which is not at all related to what we are discussing. Suvasri, are you on?
I genres, yes, I just read her question.
Yeah.
Suvasri, it is a very difficult question because it's like asking me what's one favorite character that you have played. I cannot. I'm a voracious reader. I will read anything from Archie's comics to Garfield to Japanese manga. I mean, I'll read anything to the extent, and the credit goes to one of my aunts. So when I was growing up, she would say, so you know the Tongas, the little newspaper packages. So she would say that read it. When we would eat moody out of it or something, she said, read it, what is written in it. So I think he has been a major inspiration. So yeah, I will read anything, but I think you hit a really soft nerve there. I have been, it has entered my goals. That serious it is right now. It has entered my goal level in calendar, day-to-day calendar, that I really want to read a fiction. I haven't read a fiction in a very long time. I have only been reading non-fictions, and because I've gone back to studies again, like Anand was saying at the very outset, like I've been a student all my life. I'm still a student. So right now I'm training with Gabor Mate in Compassionate Inquiry, which is like a graduate level program in trauma studies. I am having to read a lot on mental health and on polyvagal system and the IFS. I'm having to read a lot of nonfiction right now, and I make it a point to read at least 3 to 5 books every month. So my old friends here all know about that. So I read a lot, but unfortunately, I won't say unfortunately, but yeah, now that I've said it, I haven't been able to read a fiction for a very long time. I'm still thinking about a genre. I can't. I'll read anything. I'll read anything. I love reading.
So
That's it.
you will read anything, including the newspaper that is carrying the food packet.
Yeah, I think it's a very important lesson that I received when I was a kid, and I hope I am that aunt for somebody in this life, because that has led to the training of staying curious. I mean, I have been curious all my life to the extent of being like a child in a theme park. Everything is like a ride for me. Oh my God, what next? Okay, this book, what next? Okay, this course, what next? Okay, so what's happening in the world right now? So yeah, I think it's a very interesting training to stay curious. Just read everything. I mean, whatever applies in your field. If you're a student of literature, read everything. I mean, I think everything adds up. That's also the training probably which has worked and which has pushed me towards this entire training and the person who I am. That to kind of look at judgment from a distance. Just look at everything from a place of witnessing and not judging. So read anything if that may apply to your field. Or if you're a musician, listen to everything, even if you don't like it. There's a great concept in Indian philosophy. It's called Purva Paksha. So you refute, like you might be a Nayayik and you might be arguing with a Vaisheshika or Mimamsa school. But before you refute the other school's logic, you have to know their school and their logic and their tenets better than them so that you can beat them in their game. better than anybody else. I think that's a great habit now to come to think of it. If you're a musician, listen to everything. Even if you don't like it, you better listen to it to figure out what you don't like about it. So that you know that what you are not going to produce in the future. So listen to everything. I mean, I see every movie. I see as much as I will and can. I see all the contents. I see all the films, the ones that I look forward to and I don't look forward to so much, but I will see all of it. I will see all of it. So yeah, I think I deviated a little from the question of
It's
Shubhoti.
okay, it's okay. But Hina has asked a question related to your course. Hina? Yeah.
Ma'am, I just wanted to know about the course you are doing with Gabor Mate. So, yeah.
Oh, it's called Compassionate Inquiry. It involves more than 240 hours of training and submissions of case studies and case histories. So it's like a full graduation program, but you're doing it in 1 year's time. You can look it up. You can look it up. Compassionate Inquiry. That's
All
Okay.
right, ma'am. All right, ma'am. I will search.
Okay, so I think we are at the end of almost at the end of our session because it's almost more than an hour. We have been talking about the different aspects that you have gathered from your long career as an actor, and you are still going ahead with your training coaching. But then, what I am interested is you are an amazing singer. So, what is the influence of music in your acting?
Oh, I grew up as a singer actor on stage, like I said, and all courtesy my mom. My mom is a veteran in musical theater and she is a great singer herself. And she went to Rabindra Bharati University. She's the one who made our growing up so musical. I mean, my sister and I, we relate to all the timelines and context of what music we were listening to essentially. So, yeah. And that also goes majorly into my craft of how I let or allow music to affect certain characters. I sometimes use them to kind of milk the best affectability before a scene or a shot or in prep to get to the mood of that. So yeah, music is a big part of my life.
Santosh has raised his hand. Santosh, do you have a question?
Ma'am, I wanted to ask, as a literature student and as a teacher of literature, so to make our teaching more interest, I think looking at you means you are so expressive, your body language, the way you talk. So there is a lot of non-verbal communications. So how to if we want to learn acting so that we can make our lectures more appealing to the students, so how can we initiate that with acting, to bring the acting in our classes so that we can make more interesting, more appealing to the students?
So charity begins at home, Santosh. So because you think there's lacking something, this question has a lack, which presupposes a lack, right? So this is not about the students. This is about you or anyone who's asking this question right now. So that is the contribution of Eric Morris System and my teacher, and what I've been talking about throughout this session is this is the work that you have to do and get back to questioning. It's like do a deep dive of why you think, what is stopping you from being this expressive? Where do you think, where do you think your visibility of being vulnerable, being this open, being this naked is creating a little bit of flutter inside your heart, a little bit of butterfly sensation in your stomach? What is stopping you? If you work on that, maybe you don't need courses You don't need actors to come and tell you what is stopping you, because it's only the obstacle race, the hurdle race that I was referring to. So if you know how to get out, you will only know how to get out of your own way once you know how you're showing up in your own way. So that you think that I'm so vulnerable, I'm so open, there's so much non-verbal communication that's happening, that if you think that it's lacking in you, it's not there in you, what is creating that thought? Or if you think that you want to show up like this, what will be the first fear that comes up for you? To be seen as that.
Yeah, ma'am. It may be the upbringing, how we are being brought up in a very, you can say, middle class society, where we were trained to behave in a certain way, not be over expressive or be very gentle, something like that. Yeah.
Right. But the thing is that, Santosh, that is exactly why I said to get out of your own way, because it is so easy. I'm not exactly pointing a finger at you. I'm pointing a finger even at myself, considering so many other situations. It is so easy to blame it on the little boxes of the identities, of the parenting, of the neighborhood, of the society, of how you should show, of the gender roles, all of it. Right? All of it. It is so easy to blame it on that and say that, oh, this is the reason कि इसके लिए मैं ये नहीं कर सकता. But the point is that we use it very conveniently when it only serves our purpose to stay in our own comfort zone. आज तक कितना कुछ तुमने किया है. You have done so many things by not listening to the society. Maybe by choosing a profession which was not approved by your parents. Maybe being in a relationship that was not approved by your siblings. Maybe reading the kind of or listening to the kind of music which would have been considered as Chichi Ram Ram music. The moment we look at obstacles, it is essentially how we control ourselves. It is not about log kya kahenge. It is not about the other things. Of course, there are social stigmas, obligations, fear of not appearing cool, fear of not knowing what to expect. There can be so many other things, fear of judgment, fear of failure. But the most important thing is the fear of success. एक बार अगर आपने कर ही लिया, तब तो आपने कर ही लिया. Who will stop you now? Now that you have seen the truth, who is stopping you right now? Because we are not infants, right? We can make that decision, but is it important for us? Is it important for you? How important is it for you? What is at stake? Only then will you take that leap of faith, not before that.
Yeah. Now, Shabana has a question. We'll take that also before we wind up. Shabana? Shabana, please come online and ask your question yourself.
So I can read it. What is your opinion about characters presented as stereotypes in film? How it affects on young minds?
Yeah. She's
Well,
asking it. Yeah, you can answer the question. Like she's asking about characters being stereotyped in films and how it is going to affect the young minds. So, in a broader sense, how the films are affecting the young people.
I mean, before films, you'll have to understand that the films are not being made out of thin air. It's not happening in Pluto. It's not happening in Mars. It's happening here in your country. And it is approved by the censor. And it is up. So what is happening in the country? That is also very important. In what context, in what times these films are being made. Maybe you're not naming the film, but maybe I'm reading a little more into it. I think I understand what you're trying to question, but look at, I'll be pretty open about this. Look at the people in power. Look at what is being normalized as a culture on a regular basis. I mean, there has been so much talk about a certain film in the last few weeks, say Animal. I mean, what is there in Animal that you have not read in the newspaper or on the social media in the last few months? People are chopping up their girlfriends, their partners putting them in pressure cooker, throwing them, feeding them to dogs, throwing them in the jungle, and in the same timeline, in the same country, where these conversations, where these practices are normalized, where you throttle a boot down the throat of a minority person and you ask him to sing the national anthem. And when that is shown on screen, I mean, what stereotype are you questioning? You are concerned about the stereotype being represented in films. So it's a representation. So question the presentation before that. What are we subscribing to? It is only a representation. It is popular. It is entertaining. That's dangerous, of course. But what is even more dangerous is what's going on in the country, what's going on in the world right now. And nobody is talking about it. How we are stereotyping is more important than how it is being represented. So how are we stereotyping ourselves as a totally silenced clan? How are we normalizing everything with our short-term amnesia? So that is one question I have also for you.
So on that question, it has been a very heavy discussion. You have taken us through a very intellectual part and in the technical part of acting, explained the methods of acting and the training part. But then before we end the session, I would like you to bring back the singer in. Can you sing? Can you sing a song for us? If you ask me a song that I want to, I would like the participants here. It is Farida Khan's song, "Aaj Jaane Ki Zidd Na Karo." Or it's up to you, but that's your choice.
I have not sung that song in ages, Anand. I have not sung that song in ages.
Fine. So I am leaving it to you. Just give us a song.
আজ জ্যোৎস্না রাতে সবাই গেছে বনে আজ জ্যোৎস্না রাতে সবাই গেছে বনে বসন্তের এই মাতাল সমীরণে আজ জ্যোৎস্না রাতে সবাই গেছে বনে আজ যাব না গো যাব না রে রইল পড়ে ঘরের মাঝে এই নিরালায় রব আপন কোণে যাব না এই মাতাল সমীরণে আজ জ্যোৎস্না রাতে সবাই গেছে বনে আজ জ্যোৎস্না রাতে সবাই গেছে বনে।
Thank you. Thanks a lot for ending this conversation on such a beautiful note.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Kalyani, so I'm handing it back to you. Just give us the honors of.
I was mesmerized. While I was listening to you, there were so many things that connected, and I don't know what to say. There is one thing I want to bring to your notice, to Daminee's notice, as well as to the audience. I don't know if you know about it already. There is an amazing book by Vander Kolk. It is called "The Body Keeps the Score."
Yeah. That's one of my go-to books all the time. Yeah.
It is a book that really explains, because when we fixed, Anand told us that you'll be talking to us. We went online, and the two things that really struck me was the words unstoppable and also trauma-informed.
Yeah.
And I again went back to my copy of this book. It is a book where you talk about how trauma shapes you, and you don't
Absolutely.
have to be in trauma forever. It becomes your strength. You overcome it, you roll over it, and I think you're the best example.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's only the boundaries that we decide to identify with. If not, then don't. Who's stopping you?
And also the comment on how we can bring acting into the classrooms as teachers. I have forever been experimenting with it. It is the best way to live your characters, to connect with your students, to be in the text, to interpret the text through performance in the classroom. I think drama, histrionics, acting is the best way to teach. As Aristotle himself said, we imitate others, we act out like others. That's how our education begins. That's the connection. So thank you so much. I was
Thank you, Kalyani.
glued to the screen listening to you. I speechless. That's why I did not ask questions or comment in between. Thank you very much. It was not just inspiring, it revealed a lot of things to me about myself, and I'm sure everybody in the audience felt the same. Thank you.
Yeah, so, and thank you. Since there are still so many people online, just to remember, because you brought up the trauma informed, there's a major misunderstanding about trauma, because people think, conflate the ideas of the event with the trauma. Yes, event with the trauma, but trauma is not the event. Trauma is how your body retains the information about that event, what happens to your body. So how it is frozen in time, your nervous system is frozen in time. Like, there can be trauma with big T's and trauma with small T's. A car suddenly honking right in front of your ears, that is also trauma. So it'll call for a different kind of conversation, but yeah, you need to identify what is stopping you and why are you subscribing to whatever's stopping you.
So let's break those borders and find what is the real personality within us. Let's break those
Most
shells.
definitely.
Step
There
out
is
of the
no
comfort
real
zone.
Anand. What you are is what you have been through, and yeah,
like as Daminee said, we should identify what is stopping us from expressing ourselves or being what we want to be, and then we step out of the comfort zone. The possibilities are immense.
Yeah, like in Bangla, we say, in Bangla, I would say it in my class, don't say parchina, but parbona. Don't say that I cannot. It's not a question of cannot. Say I do not. Everything that you have wanted to do, really, till date, you have done it. You have gone against people, you have gone against situations. So don't say I cannot. You're not doing it. Say that. Because if you really want to do it, you'll do it. Like you have done so many times in your life. You'll do it. So find out why you're not doing it and do it.
And do it. That's it.
and there's no ideal. You don't have to be what you would have been if there was no trauma. Be yourself.
No, I mean, this is the worst kind of fantasy, to keep on fantasizing about a better past. That's the worst kind of fantasy subscription, to keep on imagining a better past. It's not happening.
Daminee, we are also working on a performance project on disability and Shakespeare. Anand will tell you about it. I got a lot of ideas, Anand, about disability also. There is no ideal, You are what you are. This is what you are. And
this is what we are.
That's beautiful. You don't have to be anything else.
So Daminee,
include what is.
what we are trying to do is like approach the issue or discuss the issue of disability through characters from Shakespeare.
Mhm.
And we have titled the performance as "To Be or Not to Be." So it's your choice. It's-
Totally.
Yeah, it's your choice. So we are trying to explore what is disability or what are the what define disability through those characters. Daminee, thanks a lot. Thanks a ton for being here, spending time with us, and explaining so many things so patiently. I think all
And
the
I want to
participants.
tell you, I love you.
What fun! Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The feeling is mutual right now. And I also love your pink wall right behind you. It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Kalyani,
And you've also been so patient with me because sometimes when I start speaking, my ADHD brain is all over the place. And I'm fighting through a fog to come back to it. So yeah, thank you for being patient with me, for holding space for me, and all these beautiful students who had such amazing questions, such put to relevant questions. And thank you so much. Thank you for such amazing moderation, Anand and Kalyani, for holding space for me. Thank you. And all the beautiful students. You have a great year ahead. Happy New Year to all of you.
Kalyani, at one point we have to hit the end button.
Yes, yes.
Or else we'll
Much
keep
love
on
in
talking
the
like
air.
this.
Yeah.
She's such a darling that we don't feel like you shouldn't be
All
so
right.
sweet. You
So
should not be
I'll
such a
do.
darling.
Yeah, I'll do the first honors. I'll take your leave, Kalyani
Okay.
and Anand, and all the beautiful students here. You have a great year ahead. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.